Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you here tonight to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Hsdsb School Board for October 9th, 2018.
Kathleen Aberzizi.
Here.
Jason Cipriano.
Here.
Caitlin Parnell. Here. James Sweeney.
Here.
Karen Yusenka.
Here.
Thank you. And also seated at the board table is Assistant Superintendent Dr. Roxanne Wilson.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes. You'll see before you tonight two sets, September 25th, a set of regular minutes and a set of non-public meeting minutes. Take a minute to look at them, please, if you haven't already. And when you're ready, I will accept a motion to accept them as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any public comments?
We haven't gotten any requests tonight.
Thank you. Administrative reports and highlights. Mr. Collins.
Thought I had a moment to prepare. You guys like flying.
Well, we're prepared.
I just want to point out a couple of things above and beyond the report here. They're still registering the kids at Central School. I know October 1st is an important number, but I reported a week ago, we have 7 starting in October, and another family called me after I sent this in. So there's going to be 8 more that'll be here this month. So the families are still moving in. I've only got a report of one family that's moving out with 2 kids between now and Christmas. So we're still gaining. That's what I wanted to highlight. A couple of other little things. The lunch buddies are back up and running at the Central School. If parents haven't got the notice, come on in. We've got it worked out. Most of the details. I know I've seen a couple of you guys there, which is nice to see. The kids really appreciate that. I have a couple of interesting things from the New Hampshire Partners in Education. As some of you know, I'm on the board. I've been on there for a long time. I gave you a listing of all the partners from Central School, and I know the middle school has a series of partners, and we have a big event on the 26th of October. A very important thing here is that one of the parents in Hempstead is going to be honored at the event this year. Erin Pellegrini is going to be receiving an award as a Volunteer Leader of the Year for the state of New Hampshire. I called her last week on behalf of the New Hampshire Partners Board to say congratulations. So it's a nice piece. She's done an awful lot of things at our middle school to work directly with kids through the PTSA. I know she's been a volunteer leader at the Central School. She did a fabulous job working with the PTSA the last couple of years. So she was nominated by a few members of the Hempstead staff. So we're really happy that she'll be honored along with 4 other awards that'll be given out that morning. So it's kind of a nice, it's a nice little thing for Hempstead to see that we do have a great volunteer program, and occasionally you get to call out an individual. And I called Erin. She was like, "Oh, shucks, whatever. That's nice. Thank you very much." I said, "Well, are you going to go?" "Well, should I?" Yeah, you should go. But it's nice to know that she's done some really good things.
Well, congratulations to Erin, and I'm sure she will represent Hempstead well.
Yes, she has done. Erin Pellegrini, so it's really wonderful. We do have some dates that we've squared away for the We Deliver kickoff and the all-school meetings. We'll be doing those later this month, and we do have the ABCs coming over to visit the Central School, but I won't get into all those details now. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Denola, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Feels like summer again. I'd like to just announce that we have the New Hampshire Health Teacher of the Year was announced last week, and our own Katie Muskrat was selected as the New Hampshire Health Education Teacher of the Year by the New Hampshire Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. And Mrs. Muskrat will be honored with this award on November 15th in Waterville Valley Conference Center. And as many of you know, she has done so much for our school to teach our kids about good, healthy habits. And even when she's on duty, at lunch duty, she'll be saying, okay, no, you need to eat that apple. You know, where's your lunch today? She does such a good job with the New York Marathon, doing our miler events. So she lives and walks and breathes it every day at Hsdsb Middle School. So we're very proud of Mrs. Muskrat. And this week we start Homework Club. I know the kids are thrilled to come and join us after school, but they actually are. They come and join with some staff members, fully certified teachers and a paraprofessional to help them on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2:45 until 4 o'clock. And if anyone is interested, we've sent it home through the parent newsletter and on the website. If anyone would like to take advantage, kids can come and drop in whenever they want to, that it's not a commitment for the full year, but just to get a little help with anything they're working on. Our fall sports updates. Our boys and girls are just coming home right now from their soccer game. I'm not sure where they are in that, but our teams are currently in the running to be in the Tri-County League playoffs, with 2 of our teams presently in first place. The girls' soccer team is currently 5-3-0. The boys' soccer is in first place with a record of 5-0-1, and field hockey is in first place with a record of 6-0. Cross country is still competing, and they will be competing at the cross-country state-level meet at Co-Brown Academy on October 20th. District Safety Committee. This is the 4th year of the District Safety Committee, which I'm very proud to be part of. And tomorrow we have our first committee meeting at 9 o'clock, and we join with all safety committee members, municipal.
October 17th, next week, right?
Oh, just kidding. Yes. Man, time's flying.
Huh?
Is it? Thank you, October 17th. Thank you for that catch, Mrs. Yasenka. So I look forward to this and working forward with Mr. Geary and working with Homeland Security to keep our schools as safe as we possibly can. And Play for the Cure. If any of you were able to come last Friday, it was raining and damp, or on that, it wasn't Friday, the day before. And we raised over $15,000 in the past few years for cancer research. And our Hsdsb Middle School ranks above in the top 10 in the country for the most amount of monies raised. It was cold and damp, but you'd never know it. With the way our athletes were playing in the rain, those cleats were flying, rain was coming down, but it was pretty warm out there. 5th grade Halloween social, it's coming up on Friday, October 19th. It will be full of ghouls and witches, and it's a good opportunity for 5th graders to get together because they're not allowed to go to the dances, which we have this Friday night if you're interested. The National Junior Honor Society will be hosting that. The Festival of Wreaths will be coming on Saturday, November 3rd, with a wonderful fundraiser that the Hampstead Mothers Club Craft Fair puts on, as well as the Hampstead Educational Foundation. And if you have a chance, please do look at our flag, where our flagpole is. It was a little dreary, and I asked politely of the PTSA at the last meeting if anyone had a green thumb and could just share some of their help in making it a little bit more beautiful. And they spent all day. It is stunning. It is absolutely stunning, and it just lifts everybody's spirits even more. So I thank you to the PTSA. They really roll up their sleeves and help us out in those times when we could use the help. So, any questions?
Any questions?
No, congratulations to Mrs. Muskrat.
Yes. Thank you.
That's a very big honor.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll be there.
Thank you.
Current business. Speaking of volunteers, we have a donation in the amount of $1,500 each from the Hampstead Mothers Club, $1,500 to the Hampstead Central School and $1,500 to the Hampstead Middle School. And we can accept this in one motion. Accept
I'll make the
both.
motion that the board accept the donation with our thanks to the Hampstead Mothers Club donation for the Hampstead Central School and Hampstead Middle School.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Definitely a huge amount of gratitude for the Mothers Club and all of the work that they do to raise the funds and benefit our children.
Thank you.
I just have a question. It goes to the building principals, Mr. Collins and Mrs. Denola, and I assume that that's almost discretionary money for you to use as you see fit in both schools?
More of an angel fund.
Angel Fund, okay. Good, thank you. Hampstead Cable Commission. Whoops, got to vote. All in favor of accepting the donation from the Hampstead Mothers Club?
Thank you.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Hampstead Cable Commission.
Yes, over the past year, we've had some troubles with one of our television servers, the one that does all of the bulletin board announcements, and it finally gave up the ghost about a month ago. The Cable Commission has stepped in. They had one sitting on a shelf that was just like ours and donated it to us. The value is somewhere between $1,000 and $5,000. It would be $5,000 to replace and get a brand new one. So this will keep us afloat for quite a while now.
Okay, good. Once again, may I have a motion to accept the donation of $1,000?
So moved with our thanks to the Cable
Yeah,
Commission.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, and it's that time of year again where the board is going to continue to fulfill its responsibility to advocate for our students and staff and for our building project. The need continues to be there. I believe this year it's even exacerbated by the fact that, yes, all of our students are out of the portables. They've been brought into the core building for safety reasons. You've heard Mr. Collins speak before about the crowding in the schools. They're managing it. I'm not sure that it's really fair that year after year after year, we expect them to cope and to manage it, administration and teachers. So, yeah, we are putting forward the exact same design that we had last year. Nothing's changed. It still meets the needs. And so for tonight, we're going to hear about this again from Craig Jones, the architects. And then also we're going to hear from Gino Baroni from Trident Building. He's going to speak to us about how the numbers have changed. And tell us a little bit about why they've changed this year. When I speak of numbers, I'm speaking of the cost. So, Mr. Jones, would you like to start the presentation?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for having us back. This project is still just as exciting this year as it was last for a designer. For you as a committee and the community, I hope that you have the opportunity to realize this. So just as a little background, Dennis Myers, the architects, was engaged last year to conduct existing conditions study and come up with a conceptual design. The space requirements were looked at, the educational program was looked at, and we came up with these different solutions based on deficiencies and other space needs that were required. So the purpose of the presentation tonight is simply to outline the deficiencies and the solutions that we came up with last year that are still the needs that we see. So the program elements that we worked through last year were to meet the educational standards, to provide a safe and secure main entry, to provide a cafeteria, library, and music room for the school and for the community to use, to cluster classrooms and improve circulation within the building, to improve the energy efficiency and maximize the savings on operating costs, to achieve code compliance because there are some deficiencies that need to be addressed, and to fully sprinkler the building for fire safety, as well as to improve some of the external site access. So when we first looked at it, the things that we categorized in terms of deficiencies, what needs to be improved, we looked at safety and security, We looked at code upgrades, building efficiency, and of course, the space deficiencies. So I'll just touch on these briefly, a couple of the key points. Safety and security, it was apparent that there needed to be better access control at the front entry of the building. Some of that has been addressed in the last year, but it doesn't take away the major components of that. Internal access, especially to the gymnasium and through that area, it's still an unsafe situation there, and then access control in that location. Or actually, around the entire perimeter, access control is something that should be addressed. In terms of building code requirements, we need fire sprinklers, code-compliant railings, code-compliant stairs, restrooms, which become a code issue if you're not providing enough restrooms for students and for the community when they come into the building. And a little one is drinking fountains, which again, we're required to provide. Structural repairs need to be provided, or need to be taken care of. This is a monitoring device. You can see that is gauging one of the areas that the building has some movement in. It's being monitored. It's safe at this point, but we just want to make sure it doesn't have too much movement, and that would be addressed, of course, in a building campaign. Hallways and fireproofing the hallways and the classrooms needs to be addressed, and classroom doors should have automatic openers and closers on them and that type of thing. In terms of building efficiency, the 60s wing continues to be a very cold in the winter, hot space in the summer. So it is an uninsulated wing of the building. You'll see a map here in a minute, and you can see it's pretty close to a third of the building. So the walls are uninsulated, the roof needs to be replaced. Windows in that area are not efficient. You can feel a lot of air movement even through the crevices around the edges of that. And heating and ventilation needs to be improved in that location and a couple other strategic locations. Again, there's also fumes from the waiting cars as the parents drop off and pick up students are being pulled into classrooms. That's another area that would be improved with any improvements to the building envelope. The space deficiencies, of course, we want to meet the state standards. That means the preschool has a maximum of 15 students, kindergarten has 18 students in a classroom, and first through fourth grade, we want to maximize those at 20 to 23 kids. We see the opportunity for district-wide solution if we can open up certain areas of the building, maybe with new components, then these district maintenance and IT can be pulled into different parts of the building. Classrooms need to be reorganized so that we are clustering classrooms so that the teachers of each grade are close to one another. There are currently 3 undersized classrooms, around 300 square feet. They should be almost 3 times that, close to 900 square feet. And that's in an older 40s part of the wing. And there are also some smaller instructional spaces that used to be, they're closet sized. They used to be closets, so that's why I labeled them that way. And again, we want to be able to have the community use the space, and that would be using the gymnasium and being able to utilize the cafeteria. Site improvements. I think the biggest thing that we decided or looked at in committee and looked at with the community in an outreach was to look at how the site can be improved for the drop-off and pickup, which is on the west side of the school, and you can see a layout of that plan. The process, how did we get here? Well, obviously there have been some previous facilities conditions reports that were done from 2010 through 2016. We as the engineers that work on our team and Dennis Myers, the architects, did a facilities assessment. We did a community outreach. There was a steering committee, and then, of course, a conceptual design that was put forth last year. It's, again, the same that is being put forth this year. So we'll take a look at the conceptual design and just walk through those pieces. We're looking at the 3 R's in the school, which is repair, renovate, and renew. We're going to repair the things that need to be repaired within the school. We can renovate the existing rooms in the school that need to be renovated, and then renew, which is new building components that take care of the space deficiencies. The existing layout is that the building was built in 3 large campaigns. There's a 40s part of the wing, a 60s part of the wing, and an 80s part of the wing. So you can see it's been a number of years since the building has had any additions to it in that time. While growth has changed a little bit, it's more about how education is delivered today, that there is a larger requirement for the educational needs, and also the community wants to be able to come in and use this facility. So renovated areas. The renovated areas are kind of spaced throughout the building. The red line indicates the 60s part of the wing where the new envelope needs to be, it needs a new wall all the way around it, new insulation, new roof, new windows. Anywhere from the cafeteria, the kitchen that's part of the cafeteria needs a number of upgrades. The nurse station is not in a great location to be able to be close to the front entry. And there are a number of special education rooms that need to be renovated as well. This is a small piece of the West Wing, which is in the 40s part of the building where the special education rooms need to be renovated, just showing how these different spaces will be utilized, and district technology and maintenance could be brought into a district-wide solution. Again, renovated spaces on the upper level. The purple and green classrooms to the far right of the screen indicate where there are the 3 small classrooms. They would be split and made into 2. We take the walls out in between and make 2 right-sized classrooms. One could be used for special education, the other for a 3rd grade classroom. And then the existing library can be split and made back into 2 classrooms, which is what they used to be. In terms of new construction, the darker highlighted areas here show from the top site improvements, a library space which would be new, a music room which is new, cafeteria and community room which would be built to the back side of the gymnasium. There's a new courtyard space that infills the center of the school. And then, of course, the main entry and administration could be brought to the front, ground level, where visitors and parents can enter the building directly. You'll see this in plan view. The orange down here is that administration area and main entry. Then the cafeteria in the first blue, music room, library. And then the only second level addition that would be new would be 2 classrooms that would sit over top of the library. And we're also proposing that an elevator be put into the building on that end of the school. This is back here at the main entry. You can see how there would be a secure entry that parents would be able to enter into an interior space, be checked in at the administrative office, and then let into the rest of the school. So we've addressed that first level of security, and anybody who wants to enter the school would go through the administrative office right there at the front of the school. Here's an elevation of the front. You can see that we've brought that administrative area right to the front, ground level, and it becomes a welcoming entrance to the front of the school. terms of the new cafeteria, the cafeteria can convert into multiple uses for the community. A stage can be set up in the cafeteria so the community can use it. In-school events can take place in there as well. But it also leaves the kitchen, which needs to be remodeled, it leaves the kitchen in its same location. So we're minimizing a lot of cost by being able to reutilize that kitchen space and just build the cafeteria to the other side, which then frees up the gymnasium for the uses of the gymnasium and not the cafeteria, as it's currently being used. And again, we've got the music room and a library, and the library becomes a very important learning environment so that classes can go into the library and they can utilize it throughout the day as well as in the evening. The community can utilize that space, but it becomes a very important integral part of that end of the school. This is just an elevation of the back end of the school showing, again, the cafeteria, music room, and library with the 2 classrooms above it. And this gives us a flow of great circulation through the building. There would be 3 main exits, 1 entrance exits, 1 at the main entry, 1 that leads to the playground that also doubles as a community entrance, and then 1 on the far end where the drop-off and pickup of the school would be located. But it's a circular path that the teachers and students can flow around the school and not be interrupting other classrooms by being able to have good circulation. And as you can see, by distribution of work, the largest effort is being put toward learning environments. We have to address the safety and security. We have to do remodeling. There's some infrastructure costs, but there was a conscious effort to make sure that most of the effort, as displayed in the pie chart here, goes towards the learning environments. So that is what I have to present this evening. It's, again, a replay of what we looked at last year, and I've been reviewing it in the last couple of weeks, seeing that most of the needs haven't changed. Therefore, we have the same project that we're putting forth.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just to be clear for everyone, a lot of thought went into this design. It was a new design. There was a construction committee of administrators, architects, our owner's project manager. Who else was there? 2 board members, superintendents. We met twice a month for about 7 or 8 months to come up with a plan that really we felt met the needs of the district. So we don't see any reason why that needs to change at this point. The plan that was just presented is the exact same plan because, as Mr. Jones said, the needs are exactly the same, if not more dire this year because of the overcrowding. So I just want people to be aware that, we spent a lot of time on this. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction that we need this. A lot of thought went into this, and that's why we're not changing it, and we're promoting it again this year. Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Baroni to come forward, and now if you can tell us how the cost has changed, because we didn't vote it in last year.
I wish I was reporting on your retirement funds. Hopefully, if you invested them well, they've gone up. But I'm reporting on the cost of construction, which has also gone up. We're seeing typically right now, first half of this year, we saw about a 3 to 4% increase, which translates to about a 6 to 8% increase in construction. Having looked at this, we've seen 2 areas of particular spikes in costs, structural steel and drywall assemblies, which also includes metal studs. Those have gone way beyond that 6 to 8% spike at this point. So working with Bonnet Page and Stone, the CM builder we've engaged as part of the project team, we looked at this and again, not changing the program, the square footage, anything, The project has increased by approximately $569,000, so it's at $6,969,500 for the hard cost construction, not the total project. The total project is $7,969,500. And why I want to make that distinction is that none of the team, including the CM builder, has raised anything that we can control. We're not raising our general conditions, we're not raising our fees, we're not raising anything. Those have remained as they were a year ago. So this team is committed to this project to keep our fees in check as they were last year, and to keep the issues that we can keep in control at that level. What we've accounted for, as I said, is material, subcontractor pricing, labor increases that we're seeing across the board, not only in New Hampshire, but across the entire country. So the new project budget is $7,969,500, which translates to approximately an 8.9% increase year over year. The schedule would be, if we are so lucky, for lack of a better term, would start next April, May for some enabling work. We'll go into full construction approximately May, June, more like June. We'd have a substantial completion by mid-August 2021, and a final completion, which means all the documentation, all the commissioning, all the backup would be completed by October 2021. The school will be essentially open, ready for business, August of 2021. This other issue is behind-the-scenes work we'd have to do. But I wish I had better news for you. There is no let up what we see in construction escalation over the next 2 to 3 years. It is the best we can do. I think the team has worked very hard to keep it at the level we can, again, making our commitment not to raise our fees and keep it at where it was last year.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And also, I don't think any of us are surprised, because you were right on target last year. You told us last year that if this didn't pass last year, next year we were going to see between an 8 and a 10% increase. So it's an 8.9% increase, so you're right on target. So this really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone on the board or in town. We know that it was going to go up. Does anybody have any other questions or anything that we'd like to discuss at this point? Jason?
I think this is, Madam Chair, you said it well. I mean, this is something we've talked about on a couple of occasions, because we believe that the need has been demonstrated. There's a clear, obvious need for this work to be done, for safety, for security, for educational quality, but we've also talked about this because there are a number of residents in town, rightfully so, as property owners, who are concerned about the cost, and we have said on multiple occasions that we needed to take advantage of prices because they weren't going to go down, they were going to go up over time. And this is another reminder that the work doesn't go, or the need, doesn't go away. So, the need hasn't gone away. And in some cases, if anything, the need is greater than it was before. What's changed is the cost. And what we can say with some relative confidence is the longer you wait, the more expensive it's going to be. And so I think we just need to discuss that continuously as we move forward with this.
Right. And
I just have a slight clarification on this.
sure.
It says in the second paragraph, it says town-owned property at the current middle school site.
I'm sorry, what?
The second paragraph says the current middle school site.
Sorry.
Middle
Central
No, I just want, in case anyone in the
Central
public is
school.
confused
Yes.
and sees it, we're just,
We will make that correction and
I
send it to
just
you.
don't want to
Thank you.
have any rampant rumors start or anything that we're,
We're not moving the school, no.
right, moving the school, adding schools.
I'll correct that and send it back out to the
Thank you.
chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One question.
Yes.
What is a UST?
Underground storage tank.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
That clicking of that clock is
Clock's ticking.
ominous.
Time's up. Time's ticking. Time's flying by.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The only thing I would like to say about this also, the building is I want this to be an open invitation to anybody in the community, because last year, after the vote, social media kind of blew up. Everybody, people we've never heard from before, were on social media telling us and giving us suggestions on what we should have done. You know, you could have done this, you could have done this. I didn't see this. I didn't see a flyer. Nobody called me. There were a lot of reasons the day after. So and I'd just like to say, you know, we had tours of the school. We had a community forum. We had a senior coffee. We had informational flyers. We had a flyer that went to every household in Hempstead. The teachers participated this year. They did a video that was on the websites. We did some door-to-door canvassing in the past. There were articles in the newspaper. There was excellent coverage in a couple of the papers. There were letters to the editors in support of the school. Many local businesses were approached. Some were responsive, some were not. There was a citizens group, Hampstead Citizens for Success, that put things on social media and websites and kept everyone informed of what we were doing every step of the way. We had signage, we had lawn signs, there were phone calls. So we did a lot. So what I'm inviting the people in the community now to do, don't wait until after the election. If there's something you feel that the board should be doing that would help pass this for the students in our district, I'm going to invite you to please contact us, at least contact me. I'm open to that. Email me. Tell me what you think we should do differently, any additional ideas that you might have, or marketing strategies. And also, I'd like you to not just give us your ideas, but also offer to work on the project with us over the next several months. I just think that would be helpful, because coming back afterwards is really not helpful. It's too late. So if you have some good ideas out there, and I know we do, we have a lot of people in this community with a lot of great ideas, please reach out to us now and share those ideas with us so that we can do what we need to do to get this passed for our kids. Okay? Public announcement is now over. Thank you. So we're moving on the agenda. If Mr. Baroni and Mr. Jones, if you'd like to leave, now would be a good time. Thank you very much. Nice
Thank
seeing
you,
you
gentlemen.
both again.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
continued
Paul.
support.
Thank you.
Well, so next we have a budget discussion. It's going to be led by Mr. Dowd.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. I'm pleased to report to you that the budget is rolling along here in Hampstead. Dr. Wilson and I have had a number of our department meetings with the schools to understand and ascertain what the needs are for the year upcoming. Everything is coming along as would be on schedule this time of the year. I'm very pleased with that. We do have some items outside the budget currently, which will be rolling into next year's budget, and we do have some budgetary needs going into next year as well, which we are working on the scope of defining. So having put out a call last time for some thought as to what the budgetary needs were as identified by the board, I'll put that request out there again and ask if there are any general broad priorities that you have that we should be looking into to make sure that we can have adequate and accurate pricing and that sort of thing. We do have a couple things outstanding which you may be asking about. So.
Who am I
Hi,
doing?
Caitlin.
I might be jumping the gun because I know next on our agenda is facilities discussion. In line with the fact that we just talked about the renovations, and we know that there's been some stuff going on at middle school, I would like to request for our workshop next week, if we could maybe have some numbers, very general numbers, or a list of projects from the building principals and Mr. Geary that are pressing. I feel like things have been put off because we've been trying to juggle budget. I would just like to have a really good idea and a really good list of what needs to be done for facilities. What are we looking at? And maybe that includes, some of the 60s wing issues that we're looking at as a backup. But if we could have something like that for our workshop next week, that would be, I think, really helpful. And I would want you to have that as soon as possible to kind of see what we can do and what we can work in to address some of our aging facilities.
A list of what we need with associated, at least estimated costs, so we can see how we want to budget for that. I mean, I think some of these things have been delayed for years. It wasn't just this board. Things have been delayed over the years. It's deferred maintenance, but the time's come now. We have to take care of our district as a district, not just one school. It doesn't mean we don't need the addition. We do need the addition, but we need things to be taken care of at middle school also. That's just the way it is. I think in the last 2 years, we try to hold off a little bit on middle school and say, well, it can get by, in an attempt to try to make the building, that people would have an appetite to approve the building project if they could see we were holding back on some other things. But this year, I don't think we can do it. And we would be derelict in our responsibilities to look the other way and not address these issues that are occurring at middle school. So that's what we'd like you to do. A list with associated costs, and then we can talk about that next Tuesday at our budget workshop.
So, and by way of update, unless there's anything else on the budget, and I would ask you to consider continuing to think about any other priorities, facilities or otherwise, that you may be able to identify for that workshop or before, and if it's something that involves pricing, let myself know or let Mr. Geary know, and we can obtain some pricing. So, on that note, I'm pleased to report that our estimated kindergarten aid, I don't know if I informed you last meeting, was originally scheduled for $45,342 in August, and most recent report is that kindergarten aid would be at $58,245. So that's the most recent number that we have, and that's it. So, any questions?
I don't remember, did you ever tell us is the GMR out?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm expecting it about third week in October? Second week in October, so it's coming out soon. Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Geary, facilities priorities.
Sure. Thank you for having me, Madam Chair. As Mr. Dowd alluded to, we would like to hear some input on the facilities from the board. But what I'd like to go down is kind of a list of items that I'm going to be targeting and bringing your way for the next budget. At the middle school, and these are going to be catered mostly to the middle school because we've identified the needs at the central school. And every time I'm going to come up and report on the facilities, I'm going to say how important it is for this project to extend the useful life of this building for 25 more years, 25 plus more years with this project. So I'm focusing strongly on the middle school, where we've already identified the problems at the central school. Site improvements for the middle school. I think everybody who's visited the middle school has noticed that this parking lot has been deteriorating over the past few years. When we're going to tackle that project, we're going to have to look at a complete reclaim of that parking lot. I think it's been top coated a few times, and we're at that point where we have to actually grind down to the base and repave. I'll be prepared to bring some numbers to you at that workshop. Happy to do so, and then we can decide whether we want to do it all at once or if we want to look at a phased approach, targeting different areas. The road agent, John Worthen, I've had a conversation with him. It looks like in the summer of 19, school streets on the schedule to be paved. We could realize some efficiencies by teaming up. That's an option. But I wanted to let you know that the conversation has started there. In light of the recent air quality concerns at the middle school, it's kind of dedicated a focus on the HVAC, the ventilation system, throughout the school. So I'll be bringing some numbers to you on getting into work with an engineer and preparing construction documents for a project. That would take some time to develop. So I would be looking at targeting that in the 1920 school year as getting design development done for a bigger HVAC project for the middle school to extend the life of the system there.
Mr. Gary, are you thinking right now it's a total overhaul, or is it just sections that need to be worked on?
I think where the last major renovation was done in the 90s, we're approaching that time where in the next 5 to 10 years, these devices are going to become due for replacement, right? They've lived their useful life expectancy. So I think now if we start developing that plan to replace, whether it's a phased approach or it's all at once, it's a good time to start that work right now.
And I think also, I don't want to speak for the whole board, but I think we've discussed this before, but I imagine as you look at this, you'll be looking at the most energy efficient systems that we can find in the marketplace.
Absolutely, and I mean, a building automation system would have to be part of this conversation for any modern HVAC system. The only problem with putting one in now is that if we change devices, we're going to have to do significant work to overhaul that system. By installing a building automation system on the current infrastructure and equipment, we'd basically have a computer screen telling us how ancient our system is and how we can improve, right? So it's better to target that all as one project. And finally, I'll probably be bringing to you an upgrade to the finishes in the middle school, including flooring and ceilings throughout the rooms. And I'm going to bring you a phased approach of doing so, whether it be 5 to 7 classrooms a year for the next few years, but to just cycle out some of the old worn ceilings and the old flooring throughout the building. As you know, in the middle school, we have many areas with carpet. I think we can have a cleaner building, more hygienic, if we switch over to a hard resilient flooring. And then also updating the acoustical ceiling tiles in all the rooms would improve the learning environment as well. So those are the 3 focus areas that I'm going to be working on bringing you back pricing for the middle school. And as I said before, the central school, we all know the problems there. And I'm not going to be shy when I come up here to keep reminding everybody that that's the project that will extend the useful life of that building. So, I'm welcome to any input anybody has regarding facilities.
I have a question about the odor, the septic odor that was there about 2 weeks ago. Has that been identified and mitigated, or what was that?
I included a report in your packet, you should have in your packet regarding that. Unfortunately, there was a scheduling conflict with the contractor. They were not able to make it over the Columbus Day weekend. We have since confirmed that they will be here Saturday to smoke test all of the roof drains to see if that's where we've pinpointed the possibility of the odor coming from. It was reported to me today that there's no odor present in the building, and I'd asked Principal Denola to confirm that. But we'll continue to look into that and report back.
Okay.
I would also like to share an update on the indoor air quality, if you'd
Sure.
be happy to
Do we have
oblige for
that?
that. I don't have the final report, however, per the board directive, I did push our consultant, the Lawson Group, to kind of give me something so I can share with the board tonight. So in the absence of a formal final report, I can report to you that the levels, the spore count levels inside the building are lower than the outside of the building. And that's what you really want to strive towards when you're doing a mold spore test in a building. To quote directly from the Lawson Group, and I must really call attention to this, all of the levels that were reported back to them from the lab are not harmful and do not indicate a major problem with mold growth in the school. So I'm very happy to report that out to you, because I think that was everybody's first concern, was the health of all the occupants.
That's good news that it's not a toxic mold. Good.
Correct. We do show signs throughout the building of high carbon dioxide levels and I have to say carbon dioxide, not carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide levels. It's typical in buildings without modern HVAC systems to see that when the building is occupied. So again, this will contribute to the development of an HVAC upgrade for the middle school. Also, in addition to the carbon dioxide levels, we did show high relative indoor humidity as part of those tests as well. And that's also attributed to a building without a modern HVAC system. That's typical to what you'd see in a building like that. So as soon as the final report is made, we'll be able to better strategize on where to focus our efforts for HVAC upgrades. And of course, the report will be available not only to you, but any members of the public that want to be able to download it and view it.
Two things. So, I think as we look forward to, potential upgrades to the HVAC system, this, file this away once we get the final report, and this can establish the baseline, so then we'll know the impact of the new HVAC system, right, in terms of carbon dioxide levels and humidity and some other things. Second thing is, what happened to the well?
Nothing.
As was, I believe I communicated to Madam Chair that there was a rumor that a well had collapsed during the Play for a Cure event. It was not anything to do with our water system. It was not a well, it was a catch basin, and the cover had dropped in, and we attributed that to a car who had driven on top of it in some really wet conditions. So it's since been made safe. We've brought Busby Construction. They were there, that night to look at it, the next morning to be able to cover it with a cast iron plate so nobody fell in. But we were fortunate enough to get, the report right away and jump right on that. So I'm glad to clarify that, because when I heard that it was a well, I was a little concerned. But I was happy to find out it was a catch basin.
Someone who looked at that didn't know that it wasn't a well, that it was only a catch basin.
That's good news.
Yep, it is. Any other questions for Mr. Gary? No, so you're clear, you will have the list for us prior to Tuesday? Or you'll work on it so that we have it Tuesday night, the 16th?
Yes, I will do my best to get it to everybody by end of business on Monday afternoon.
Okay.
There's a lot of moving parts with these projects, and
Yep.
I'll do my best to give you good, firm budget numbers.
Okay, great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. He will also be, very present at the budget building process. So we've already started that work. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, now we can leave facilities and go back to some education. Mrs. Denola, you want to tell us about your middle school action plan and school goals?
We are hard at work at creating our 2018 through 2020 action plan for Hampstead Middle School. Our faculty has worked on it 2 different times since school started in August, and we are just at the final review and acceptance for the principal's leadership team next week to take a final look at it, and I'll have a final copy for you then. But just to give you kind of a view into what we're looking at, we're working on instructional strategies, but research-based instructional strategies, really looking at what are the strategies that are going to give us, our kids, the biggest leg up in their education, and really reflecting on, does this still work in the 21st century? Is this strategy worth our time and our children's time? So we're really taking a really good look at ourselves as individual educators. And as you recall, we received a grant for Universal Design for Learning. And what that is, it's a vision of learning from the perspective of just starting at the lesson plan. And if you look at what are the barriers that we put in place that keep children from accessing their education fully, whether it's they need support or they're looking for a gifted and talented route. But it's very important work. We've been working on this for a few months as administrators. Now we have UDL teams in place. We just had training last week, so a lot of teachers have taken courses, college courses through the summer to support this, and it's good for all children. So more on that when it's finalized, when I have all the action steps for you. And we're also looking at teaching in an integrated way for our 21st century learners. If they learn something in isolation, their short-term memory's not going to hold on to it. But if they make a connection through math, through social studies, through their engineering class, computer class, and coding, it's going to stay with them. You know how it's something that you wanted to learn, you learned it. So we're trying to make that hook for every single child. And social emotional learning, this is nothing new that we are venturing in. We always have strived to take care of the social emotional learning component of our children and their families. And with your vision of having a social worker, that puts us up a step forward in this realm. Through Dr. Wilson's vision of a system of care, we've been attending training in that venue, and also on Friday we spent the afternoon, all of the caregivers in the district, of creating a multi-tiered approach and how we never can miss a child that needs our help. So if they're not happy in the classroom, they're not learning. So that's our work, and I will have that for you in a few weeks.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments?
Just have a sort of a general comment as you pull this together, Principal Danola. I think over the last few years, certainly over the years that I've been on the school board, I think we have looked for areas of innovation, and we've really encouraged and pressed our educational leaders to look for opportunities to be innovative, and I think the board has embraced some, maybe not all, but some of the opportunities. You know, the robotics is a good example of one, and the STEAM emphasis and integrated lessons that you've already mentioned here. So I would challenge you as you do this to continue to try to look for opportunities to really be innovative, because I don't think that we can afford to stagnate. I think we have to constantly be asking ourselves, you know, I love the coding piece. I love the idea that, you know, maybe we could even expand that and do more with that, because I think there's a lot to do there. And I hope you'll forgive me, because I was just thinking before this meeting, God, we have been spending so much time talking about things that are not educational leadership and innovation. I miss talking about stuff like this, because I think this is really, you know, the building's critical, and we want to have a safe building, secure building, but I really enjoy talking about this kind of educational innovation and how do we really prepare our kids for, you know, a 21st century job market eventually, which is a big part of what we're trying to do. Not the only thing, but a big
And
part.
they're open, they're ready, absolutely.
Anyway.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Wilson,
Yes.
your goals.
When I had originally put this on the agenda, I had anticipated that these goals would have been accepted at the SAU. And
I was going to say, these are the things, this is what we looked at last week.
Yes, it is. And I thought mine would be culled out of that. But since they haven't been fully accepted at the SAU yet, I just wanted you to see the sections that are listed as Hsd's. And if there's any feedback you want to give me going forward, please do. When I kind of formulate these with Dr. Metzler, I always look at the starting point are your goals, the board's goals. And as you can see, each one of these relate, and I think you had made that comment at the SAU meeting, that I think the board as a whole felt comfortable with these goals going forward.
Yeah, we would have voted on these last week.
Right.
So.
So I just bring it to your attention. They'll formally get voted on at the SAU board, and then I'm already working on these, as obviously you know. So I just formally wanted to present them to you at this agenda as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I said we looked at these last week at the SAU meeting, so I don't think there's anything else to
No, and
say or comment.
once they're formalized and accepted and approved, we can put them on, you know, the website as well.
Great, thank you very much. Policies. We have 7 policies for the second read and a move to adoption. They are policies ADC, tobacco products ban, JICG, tobacco products ban revised in 2005, KH, which is still the tobacco products ban, last revised in 2005. The IHAMA, teaching about alcohol, drugs, and tobacco, KLG Relations with Governmental Authorities, EBCA Emergency Plans, and EBC Crisis Prevention and Response. Since this is the second read, if there are no further questions or time for review, I'll accept a motion to move all 7 forward for adoption.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Just one comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, discussion.
Yeah, just, it's a quick, it's a, it's on the policy 80C, so we've updated our policy now, and good on us, we've updated it to include vaping and e-cigarettes.
Right.
My thing is that, and maybe you have had experience with this as well, there are some people that use these products that think that if smoking is banned, they can still use these products because they're not strictly speaking smoking. I'm just wondering if we can have any signage modification, like, we don't want people doing this in the schools. And I don't want someone to think like smoking is banned, but I'm not smoking, I'm vaping or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's more for when we have general public events.
Yep.
And I just want to point that out. So it's not a change in the policy. I just want to make sure we're updating any signage, just to make clear that distinction.
To say e-cigarettes or liquid nicotine, electronic smoking or vaping apparatus?
Yeah, I don't know that it has to have that full definition, but like I said, I've been at places where smoking is prohibited, but people will still vape.
What do we have? We have a sign that says tobacco-free zone, I think, right now. So I don't know if we did.
We can update we can update the signage for that.
That's all.
Yeah. And just for you also to realize that number 2 and 3 here, those are recommended for repealing.
Right.
So by saying that you're adopting them means you're going to be repealing
We are repealing
them.
them.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Board comments and correspondence. Benny?
I don't think I have anything.
No.
Well, I was at the Play for the Cure event. It was great. It was wonderful. It's a nice thing that we do. Thank you to the people that organize it and participate. That's all I got.
I received some correspondence and I forwarded it to Dr. Wilson. That'll be in her report.
I went to a number of events, Play for the Cure. It was great, as well as field hockey and cross country to cheer on some of my favorite middle school athletes.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Consent agenda, please.
I'm going to start with the personnel report. We do have a nomination, and we also have one retirement. I'll start with the retirement. We did receive a letter from Maggie Boland, who is the HCS Administrative Secretary, who's had 30 years with the district. And she is giving us notice that she's going to be retiring at the end of November. So we are very saddened to see her go and rely heavily on her expertise, and certainly wish her all the best, as I know that she and her husband will enjoy the grandkids without any having to get to work the next day. So she is on your list. Any questions about that?
No, she will be missed.
Yes, she will.
She's a great asset to the school.
Can we function without Mrs. Boland?
I don't know if
We're
we
going to
can.
find out. Can we function without Mrs. Boland?
I don't know,
No
it'll be
offense to
different.
any of the other support, she's just, she's been here. Yeah, it will not be the same. And second, we have a nomination. We have been, as you know, at the beginning of the school year, we had a resignation of a new employee fairly quickly. I think in the third day of school, we had a resignation. And in order to find a teacher who had some qualifications, we had to go out again and seek candidates. There were far and few applications, as it's hard to find good quality special educators at this time of year. But we did find one, and her name is Catherine Kennedy. She was interviewed by Karen Gallagher, Francine Flynn, myself, and She is right now working in a neighboring district, waiting to come here. She's very excited. This is her first official teaching assignment. She is certified under the Department of Ed's alternative approach to certification. She has a statement of eligibility for general special ed. She's got quite a bit of experience working a couple of years in Maine at a private special education school. And a lot of her work right now, she's in a master's program for special education. She's about halfway through. And we met her and felt comfortable and confident that, again, the alternative program the department allows us to do, we set her up with a mentor. We've had that conversation with another colleague in the district who will mentor her and kind of take her through this first year with her plan. Her plan will probably include a lot of the coursework that she's already doing. But we were very excited to be able to move her forward to you tonight. So if you have any questions, Karen Gallagher is here as well, but I think it's very straightforward with her nomination. All set?
Do you have anything you'd like to add, Karen? Or-
I think she'd be a wonderful candidate to put forward. She's got a lot of enthusiasm, she has some experience under her belt, and she's motivated and eager to learn and do the best job that she can, so I'm pleased to move her forward as a candidate.
Move to accept the consent agenda, including with regret, the resignation of Mrs. Moore.
Second.
All in favor? It's unanimous, thank you.
And then
Oh, I didn't get my report in.
Well, one last thing in regards to the special education. We have 2 special education para-educator positions of it open still, even after this hire, at the middle school and 1 at the central school, correct? Okay. Is that okay? Or am I out of line?
that's fine.
It's okay.
I have a short report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to say that the 2 open positions at Hsdsb Middle School should be filled relatively soon. I've interviewed 2 wonderful candidates, so they're just now moving forward in the final stage of the process, being fingerprinted at the SAU and so forth. So that leaves just 1 more position at the at Central School.
Excellent. All right.
So we're getting there with some really nice people.
How are you settling in over at the middle school?
I'm sorry?
How are you settling in over at the middle school?
Oh, fine.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Could I also
We
add,
accepted the consent agenda
Yeah, but
before.
we didn't
I
hear
jumped the
us.
gun.
Your
That was,
report.
that was.
I have a small report, but I also just want to acknowledge Karen and Francine during this time when we haven't had a teacher. I have to tell you, both of them have been in there teaching. They have been instrumental in keeping the program going. So along with their director responsibilities, they've also been doing some teaching.
Thank you
So
very much.
Thank you for that.
My short report, October 1 enrollments, I'll have at the next meeting, I'll have a finished product in terms of a document, because I don't have the actual October 1 counts from Pinkerton yet, but I do have the 28th of September, which is pretty close. So the October 1 counts for the elementary is 469 students. Here at the middle school, 382 students. And then at Pinkerton, we had 461. And that does include some of the non-graded students. So that total was 1,312. And I will update this with the official numbers at the next meeting. The Pinkerton student liaison, I know that, Kathleen and I worked together in trying to get the word out on the Facebook pages. We still haven't received any.
They haven't received any?
No. So I will keep going back to Pinkerton as well and seeing if they've heard from any students who are willing to do it. We did get a student who wanted to participate in the strategic planning advisory committee. And thanks to Karen, I emailed him. We had a little conversation on email, and he's very pleased to represent us. And so he's a sophomore.
Great.
His name is Benjamin Fairbank, and I believe he's also on the soccer team. So, but he's very excited about being part of it. So
That's great.
that will work. And I think that's it for me.
Did we still motion to accept the consent agenda? Roxanne?
There's no action on her.
There's no, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay. Documents, oh, they're stuck here with me, sorry. Okay.
So now we,
Other business, old business? I don't see any, but we are going to have a non-public.
Okay, which?
For legal?
Which, for legal?
L.
Okay. So I'll make the motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A:3, paragraph 2L.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mrs. Abbruzzese?
Yes.
Mr. Cipriano?
Yes.
Mrs. Parnell?
yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
And Mrs. Yusenka?
Yes. And Cable, you are free to leave for the night. Thank you.